And away we go. It's the DFS Early Bird presented by Awesemo.com. He's Josh Engelman. I'm Dan Strafford. Together we are No, it's a different movie altogether. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. For those of you too young to have any idea what that reference point is. Josh, how the hell are you doing?
There's a new one coming out.
I know.
Right?
I'm kind of psyched.
I'm good, by the way. Sorry, I got excited a little bit there talking Bill and Ted. Yeah, I think that's happening, which is kind of exciting.
Yep, it's already been shooting, and I will say Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Keanu Reeves' best movie. I don't really care. I don't care about The Matrix. Give me Bill and Ted's. Because any
John
actor,
Wick?
I've never seen the John Wick, so I have to say I don't know. Is it good? Okay. Should I see it?
I mean, it's not like acting. It's an incredible.
That's the thing.
It's like the best WWE ever. It's very very like choreographed, but the choreography is fantastic.
I like it. I dig that. And you can enjoy a movie for that reason.
For me is big time. Hardball tugs on the heartstrings.
Sure. Wow, that's a pull. And I mean, Point Break has a place in my heart, but
Hardball was really popular, or that came out either like my junior year of high school or senior year of high school. I was on the baseball team. Baseball team was good, so like we got really into that because it was a baseball movie. So it's rooted in my life a little bit different.
It's kind of like my awful affinity for Summer Catch, the Freddie Prinze Jr. Cape Cod.
Oh, I love it
because it came out around the time I worked.
He's so bad in that too.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
But if you want a real deep pull for Keanu, we can talk about The Lake House.
I know of it, never seen it.
There's a house with like a magic mailbox where if you put something in there, it's like the letter is 3 years in the past or the future or something. So he gets into some sort of like through space-time relationship with Sandra Bullock.
Amazing.
I watched it a lot. I worked at a video store.
Oh, yeah. I worked in a movie theater when I was 16, 17. So I got to see Something About Mary like 11 times for free when it came out. And I worked there when Titanic came out. And I think I've told this story on this or a version of this podcast in the past where I was working the box office and a woman came out, was very excited to go see it. I was like, well, the boat sinks. And she got so much. She told my manager, I got like a demerit on the like official chart. It's not really a spoiler. Like, come on.
Yeah. This is real. You think they were going to have this and they're like, it just made it to port?
Exactly. Just pulls in. All right. We are going to talk some NBA. We're having some fun here at the top, but we have 11 games on this slate. What we do here on the Early Bird is get you ready. So we have the NBA DFS strategy show. We have the deeper dive. We have live before lock, all free on YouTube. So this is the primer. It gets you thinking about the slate. All the rest of those are going to fill in the details. We have tons of free content available at Awesemo.com. Then we do have the Premium Plus, the Awesemo Plus package that gets you the projections and Fantasy Cruncher add-on on top of that you can do, and Alex's grades and rankings and all sorts of different things. So there's something for everyone at Awesemo.com if you are not yet a member and want to be, which I assume a large majority of you listening are. Early Bird is the promo code, 50% off, one word. And if you watch any of the other shows, they all have promo codes as well. So if you don't remember that one, you'll be able to find it pretty seamlessly. You can always find EMAC on Twitter and ask him too, because he likes to talk about promo codes whenever he has an opportunity. Let's dive in. DK has not changed prices. We've talked about it already to begin the year. We really have a low ceiling on the price points over there. Well, not really low, but lower than we'll see as the year goes on, keeping prices down on that side. FanDuel a little bit higher when comparing the two sites, and it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. We know that. And Yahoo will check in on those prices as well, because we are brought to you in part by Yahoo DFS. They have NFL still churning. They have NBA going on, so they're fully locked and loaded over there. So check out their contests each and every day. But Josh, as we start this early year, I'd like to ask, I talked to Adam about this, I've asked Lofty about this, from your perspective, how much projection-wise are you manipulating your data? I know you don't do much. You trust your projections, you trust your calculations, but comparing 2018, 2019 stats to the early season stats we're already getting in over the course of about 4 or 5 games.
Not all that much. It's going to be more important for me for guys with smaller samples or guys that had very wholesale changes. So like a Malcolm Brogdon, a Terry Rozier, where their play is just going to be different. But for like Damian Lillard, I don't need to look at anything. He's essentially going to be Damian Lillard. Ben Simmons is going to be Ben Simmons. Devin Booker is going to be Devin Booker. I don't expect those guys to be deviating all that much that really affect me. So I'm spending more time digging into the guys that either change teams or are rookies. That's basically my big area.
That makes a ton of sense, and I think is good information. How you go about looking at your numbers, and there are people out there who will heavily manipulate their projections and try to change things around when they eyeball something. And I think one of the things Alex talks about, Adam, yourself, your numbers are there for a reason. You're building this projection system. You're building this sheet. You don't want to go in there and zero things out just because. You want to be making mindful choices about what you're doing. I think your point stands pretty well there on why you would. We have 11 games, as said. We have Giannis, Harden, and Embiid. Lots of talent on this one when you have such a deep slate. We're going to start at point guard. Highlight some of the plays that Josh is seeing. Something, if I see anything that stands out, ask Josh a question. Then we'll go through each position, talk about some of the higher price guys at the end, and then we will say so long. So starting at point guard, we of course have the duo in Houston with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Harden still the more expensive play at 10-1. You have Westbrook just behind him. Now, Harden, I guess it's safe to say he's quote-unquote disappointed to start the year. Hitting high 40s, low 50s, DK points typically wouldn't be a disappointment, but he has not exceeded expectations or at least met them, whereas I think Westbrook has surprised some people with his efficiency and his ability in this offense as the year has started. His three-point shot hasn't been as egregious as it may have been in the past. He's sitting at a decent clip there, which is probably buoying his stats a little bit. Any take here on either of these two guys as to our two most expensive guards? Do they stand out in either of their matchups, or do you feel as though they may be a pass on this slate and find somebody cheaper?
They do stand out, but Harden in particular for 10-1, I want all of the Harden that I can get to. He's 6 of 40 from 3 this year. But, and this is so staggering. He shot 48 free throws in 3 games. He's 46 for 48. So even if he's not hitting threes or like being particularly efficient from the field, he's getting to the line so much.
Right.
If he just happens to also make a couple threes like he normally does, what does that day look like? He hung 40 on Oklahoma City and shot 3 for 14 from the field. I don't know what to do with this guy, but other than just play the hell out of him in Washington. So in theory, the game should be closer. They're not particularly good from a defensive standpoint. I believe they're 8-point favorites right now. 230 implied total. From what I see is the highest on the slate. I assume he's going to be popular, but with it being an 11 gamer, everything's going to be relatively flat. I expect to have a ton of James Harden.
And there are stands to take on ownership. He may not be one of them. Projected ownership shouldn't be too bullish here on Harden. That should keep you away.
No, because, there's also Russell Westbrook. There's also Steph Curry getting a home game against Phoenix. Dame is getting Oklahoma City. Even Kyrie against Indiana, not the best matchup. Sorry, spoiler alert. These are the names that are coming up in the salary list.
Yep.
Harden stands out to me, but very clearly the most.
Yep. And I think Harden at the top over on FanDuel, price point of $11K on FanDuel at the shooting guard position. Obviously, we need to take that into consideration. He is your 4th most expensive player on FD. Towns, Antetokounmpo, Embiid, Harden. In that order, then Westbrook just below. I'll pull up Yahoo momentarily and go through some of the positions and prices there. As we scroll on, though, and you mentioned some of the names that will come into consideration, point guard obviously stacked, and this is a place where you're going to have to make some choices and decide on roster construction and see where you go. DK, obviously, with the MPE, gives you a little bit of flexibility, also the utility in guard spot. But you do have a Ben Simmons against Minnesota. Kemba has not been maybe the offensive answer the Celtics were expecting or hoping for, but still has the ability to blow up. He gets a matchup with Milwaukee. You have De'Aaron Fox in here, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker. These are all names on any given night, Josh, that can explode, can give you that 60, 70 DK point outing. Similarly over on FanDuel. Anybody in this range stand out, or do you find yourself maybe making your way down to the RJ Barretts and Gilgeous Alexanders of the world at a cheaper price point?
I've been playing a lot of D'Angelo Russell so far to little fanfare, I guess. He'll be a guy that I have my eye on just because of Phoenix. given that they're both 7,900, I prefer Devin Booker to Russell at that spot. Donovan Mitchell's kind of tough against the Clippers. Fox gets a great matchup, but he hasn't really been the best so far this season. So Booker is what stands out to me most as we're starting to work our way down. And then Zach LaVine should obviously have no problem with Cleveland at 7,700. They refuse to just price him any higher, but let's see. What has he done? Game log. Yeah, 18 shot attempts. In the most recent game against the Knicks. Got 23 against Memphis. I mean, the guy's going to gun, and they're just holding him at 7,700. Ceiling's there.
Yep, and you have a price point over on FanDuel of $8K flat for LaVine. Again, these are all names that on any given night, I think you could project. I know Alex has the boom or bust rating now over on Osmo.com. The idea of any of these being highly rated as a boom wouldn't surprise me simply because of the skill set. Some of these matchups clearly will dictate which ones you're going to lean on. We get into the mid-tier, and we talk about the RJ Barretts of the world. Now, I am a Knicks fan, full disclosure. I don't know that I want RJ Barrett as the point guard of the future. You know, you talk about point guard versus lead guard versus ball dominant guard, whatever it is. I don't know that he's going to be that guy, but he is clearly a offensive player. Like, he clearly gets to the rim. He gets it. The thing that impressed me last time out, and this is a hustle thing or whatever you want to describe it as, his rebounds. He chases his shot. He misses. He gets his own rebound. They've a couple of different articles were talking about he is Carmelo at the early part of Carmelo's career. Carmelo just played with a different level when he was younger, where he was chasing rebounds. He was getting on the floor. He was doing the little things that mattered. Barrett's still just 6,500 on DK. As a rookie, we know there's going to be fluctuations. We know it's going to go up and down. Any interest in the rook here at 65 or any of these guys in similar price points to RJ Barrett?
I don't really like Barrett in this spot. Orlando's solid defensively. I don't get the sense that this is a spot where Barrett's going to be able to scoop up 15 boards. And they can call him a point guard all they want. He is not going to get enough assists to be like a legitimate point guard. He is a 1.5 at best. I have been impressed by his athleticism. It's translating a little bit better than I would have expected. I thought that he was going to be in for a really long season. And, you know, he still could be. We're 3 games in. But the rebounding really is a skill that I didn't think that he would have this quickly. And I think it's very clear that he does. But at Orlando is just not a spot where I'm trying to – this whole range is kind of scary. Like Lou Will at Utah, CJ McCollum, I get him a lot, but I think he's just like a quirk of my model. Mike Conley might be the worst player in the NBA right now over the first 3 games. That's just a really tough range until you get to, well, I'm scrolling and still not seeing anybody that stands out to me.
I mean, is there any world where Rubio could be of value here against a Golden State team that is playing at a high pace but not playing well? Their defense is pretty awful. Does Rubio do enough at 6,200?
Oh, man. Let's see, 35 and 34 in the last 2. Probably not. 4 for 9 from the field, 1 for 7.
Just not enough volume.
Yeah, no blocks, no steals in the most. Like, he's going to get the rebounds and assists, but it feels really empty. It's like Rondo if he's not playing on national TV.
Oh, we're already
like Rubio's averaging 10, 9, and 8 right now. But at 62, you know what? It is Golden State. Their defense is really bad. It's more viable than I would have expected. But he played 28 minutes in a 1-point game against Utah. You're going to need him to get north of 30 to feel really comfortable.
That seems reasonable, and I will check if we have a line on that game as of yet. Over on FanDuel, I think he checks in at 6,200. And
Golden State minus 4.5, 228.
Okay. I could see, I mean, Steph could obviously have a big game, but the rest of that roster, Rendon and I talked about it the other day, it's sketchy at best.
Yeah. I wonder how chalky Marquise Chris will be this week, or tomorrow, rather. I meant today. One of these days.
One of these days. Any punts here? We do have, we mentioned RJ Barrett. Ntilikina's 3,100, played 22 minutes, didn't put up big stat line. We know he can get stocks. We know the steals and blocks are a possibility here. Doesn't score a ton, but he's 31 on DK. You have a guy like Fultz down at 4,100, DJ Augustine's at 47. These are names that I can't say I'm overly excited But anybody that you think may be worth a little bit of second pass here to understand if they might be a nice flyer or punt play at point guard?
George Hill for 3,500 went like absolutely crazy in 19 minutes in the most recent game. 19 points, 8 boards, 2 steals, 3 assists. Just filled up the stat sheet really quickly.
It's efficient.
He's just 3,500. It'd be worth a look. Do we have any news on if Reggie Jackson is out for the Pistons? Tim Frazier is 3,200. That's just another spot that you can like sort of look at.
Reggie Jackson has been ruled out.
He has been ruled out?
Yeah, for Wednesday's game. Yep.
Well, then there you go. Yep, there's the big O next to him and ruled out for Wednesday. Yeah, so Tim Frazier is a viable punt, I think, on an 11-gamer if you need to save some salary. You're not going to get wowed by it, but that's it.
All right, let's take a look at shooting guard. Obviously, some MPE here on DK. We'll take a look at FanDuel pricing. You have Harden, Curry. Beal is one of the few shooting guard only players on all of DraftKings, either shooting guard or small forward. It is. I agree. It's a bad setup by them as of right now with the way they are not enforcing position eligibility. And I get it. It's a positionless game and NBA is changing and blah, 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 blah. But to play the game right, I think they need to be a little bit more strict about where players are rostered. But
why is Bradley Beal just not a point guard too? Like, I don't know. This is the one I don't understand. Like that's where they drew the line in the sand. As if
they have Isaiah Thomas on the roster. Why would you?
Sure.
He didn't
even get that point guard eligibility last year when he was like legitimately all 5 positions.
That's well, towards the end of that year, that was pretty dreadful. Hey, they paid him at least. Good for him.
Yeah, get that paper.
Anybody here? So we've talked about a bunch of these guys at the top end. Don't want to belabor and mention the same over and over again. Well, let me do this. Let me turn to FanDuel so we can talk specifically about position eligibility over there. Harden, Beal, Booker, Russell are our top end. Mitchell thrown in there at 8,300. SGA is 8K. Levine. So this is a pretty decent shooting guard. Many years back, shooting guard was the barren wasteland. It was where you had no talent at all. Here we have tons of guys who have tons of upside. What do you like here on FanDuel shooting guard? Let's say 8K and above.
Oh, man. I mean, I like Harden for sure, but 11K is a lot. Although Embiid is more expensive, Giannis more expensive, Towns more expensive. So I assume that I like Harden more. I like Harden more than I like Beal. 8,500 for Booker feels pretty reasonable. I don't really want to get to Russell at 8,400. Don't have a ton of interest in Mitchell at 8,300 in that matchup. SGA is too expensive as far as I'm concerned. So it's probably Harden. I think Harden would be the guy I would be willing to pay up for. I don't really like this the rest of this tier.
All right, mid-tier, you have some names that might pique some interest. You have a guy like CJ McCollum at 6,900 against Oklahoma City. Josh Richardson is at 6K flat for the Philadelphia 76ers, has been playing decent minutes, 30, 37, 33. Obviously not going to be a high usage guy simply because of the other talent on this team, but can fill up the stat sheet pretty quickly. And Derrick Rose, just above him at 6,200, has been getting some run there for the Detroit Pistons, but he is in the mid-20s when it comes to minutes. Anybody in this mid-tier stand out as we scroll on?
Man, this is tough. Probably Devontae Graham.
Okay.
5,700. Don't know what Jeremy Lamb's status is going to be. It looks like he's a game-time decision.
He's going to give it a go, I'm sure.
Yeah, Graham's playing 27-ish minutes, played 31 in the most recent game. He's just going to be out on the floor and going to have to soak up some time. And I think that's the most valuable piece of this because you don't really trust like Dennis Schroeder. Josh Richardson is like the 5th option for the Sixers. Derrick Rose can't really be out there long enough. So I think Graham is sort of the best of both worlds. And you would think Sacramento is going to be playing at a torrid pace. So maybe you can get a couple extra possessions out of it.
Positions too. I mean,
yeah,
we'll see. Let's continue to small forward. We'll bounce back and forth between DK and FanDuel, and I will pull up some Yahoo pricing momentarily, go through some of the top-end options over there. You have Giannis at 10.8. Kawhi then is 8,800. We are already seeing load management for Kawhi. You're not going to see him up in the high 30s in minutes. You're just not. It's not going to be something you see from Kawhi Leonard probably all year unless we get towards the end and they have to battle for some playoff position, especially Paul George coming back eventually here. But he's still filling up the stat sheet. Price point isn't terrible. He's an elite talent that gives you some upside. Ben Simmons just above him just below him at 8,700. Then you get into the Tatums, Middletons, Danilo Gallinari, Tobias Harris. It can get pretty sketchy here pretty quickly. Dimensional players, either scorers or rebounders or facilitators of some sort. How do you break down small forward, and who are some of your top plays on this sort of top half of the position?
I'll tell you what, Kawhi for 8,800 stands out, even if this is at Utah, averaging 52 fantasy points a game so far. You're going to get around 20 shots. He had 5 stocks in the last game. He had 4 in the game before that. You're going to need the defensive stats to really get there for him because he is not that kind of guy. But, he's averaging 27, 7, and 7, basically. Yep. 8,800, I think, is worth the shot. You don't normally like scenarios like this against Utah, a defensive matchup, a little bit more slow, but I think the price point sort of makes it okay.
I would say over on FanDuel, 10-3 seems like he's a little bit priced out of.
No, I would just rather spend the extra money on Giannis, but because we got to remember, Boston has been a tough matchup for Giannis for a while. Al Horford's not there any longer.
Right.
So I'm not entirely they don't have this, like he could thrive here. I like Giannis a lot more at 11. It has to be Tatum, right?
Right.
It's not Cantor. They're not going to use a center still. I don't think
it's not Gordon Hayward.
No,
Gordon Hayward's not getting out on defense on Giannis. To Josh's point, Utah is again one of the slowest paced teams. We know that's going to be just the way they play. Sub 100 on the year for pace. And you're talking about usage. Kawhi, even in the short minutes, and I know it calculates it in there, but he's at 37, third overall. Again, small sample size, just 4 games. But when he is on the court, the offense clearly is flowing through him. Let's quick scroll here. I don't know that we're going to get a ton of value at small forward. You did mention Lamb and potential ramifications from him being out. Let's see. You have Bacon on that Charlotte roster. We get cheap quick here at small forward. Anybody worthwhile to throw out as, again, just somebody that might be a plug-in simply because of value, because they bring enough to the table, or because of an injury? I know there's a lot going on with Westbrook and Harden. I keep waiting for an Eric Gordon game. He's playing 38 minutes, not 36, 8 minutes. That's not an actual number. 36 to 38 minutes, depending on the game. He's getting shots up, not at a high clip, but enough where he's in double digits each time out. Another guy, if those threes fall at that price point, I could see some upside. 3,900 on DK. I don't know if they're going to, and that's another scorer. That's all he does. What do you got as any potential value at small forward?
Just circling back a little bit, I do like Tobias Harris for 6,700 just against Minnesota. I just think that's a good spot and a decent price for him. Had a rough day in the last one out, so I think that he might be able to rebound there a little bit. Circling all the way back down, $5,100 TJ Warren. He hasn't looked good so far. He's just a guy that I'm always kind of interested in because if it starts to cook, he's gonna thrive on that. Kennard, Tucker, Barnes, Black, Chetty. Ugh. Man, there's not a lot to like down here. I do like that. I like that Eric Gordon shout. 3,900. He's probably just too cheap for what he can do, particularly against Washington. But 37 minutes, 36 minutes, if you get the day where that shot starts to fall, you're there. I mean, you need it to fall. He doesn't really do anything else.
Right, exactly.
But the minutes are there, and sometimes you just got to bet on playing time.
And he is 4,500 on FanDuel, 1,000 above the minimum. So again, these are names to keep in the back of your mind, not necessarily guys who you're going to roster first, but as you're trying to construct a lineup that has some of the heavy hitters at the top end, maybe you try to get 1 or 2 cheap options in there to balance it out and then go balanced from there. But let's move next to power forward, where obviously at the top end you do have Giannis again, you have Kawhi again, but then we get a lot of the center eligible guys on DK. We'll take a look at FanDuel as well. Pascal Siakam, so much fun. Kevin Love, Julius Randle. How about them Knicks? Heck of a comeback against Chicago Bulls. Bobby Portis's revenge game. He had crazy eyes going, man. Like he was full on. doing something in that game when he was hitting those threes, full on, just getting it done. I'm not going to question him.
Still crazy to think that he broke Niko Mirotić's face.
That goes untalked about a lot.
And apparently, like, no one was, like, the large majority of the people were like, nah.
Yeah.
Probably had it coming.
Yeah. Well, probably in that, and also like, you do you, Bobby. We're good. We're just gonna hang back here. You have the likes of Lauri Markkanen for the Chicago Bulls. Draymond Green is at 7,500. But do you have any quick take here? And I know you're sort of leaning in as the season goes on to DK more. But do you have any quick take on Kawhi at small forward versus power forward, Giannis at small forward versus power forward, anything take-wise as of yet? Or do you see them simply as somewhat interchangeable depending on your roster construction and where you're going with the rest of your lineup?
I would say that Kawhi looks a little bit better at small forward. You only have the 4 guys north of 6,800. So I think that he fits in a little bit better there. Then when you get over to power forward, you've got guys like Siakam, Kevin Love, Julius Randle, all in that 8K range that I think are very viable. So I would be more likely to be using Kawhi as a small forward. I'd say Kevin Love stands out against Chicago. I think that's a pretty good spot for him. Julius Randle against Orlando, I don't love. I mean, Siakam against Detroit works, I guess. They're kind of a mess everywhere except for center. Like, you know, you're obviously getting Drummond, but Siakam's not going to be dealing with Drummond. It'll be, like Markieff Morris or something? Maybe Christian Wood if he's on the court, which isn't going to go well. So Siakam's probably a little sneaky there at 84.
Not sure. I don't know if you have a line on that game. I'm not seeing it where I'm looking. No spread, no over-under on the Detroit-Toronto game. I'm not sure if there's an injury we'd be waiting on.
8.5.
Okay.
210 total. So I'm a little less interested in anything coming out of that game.
Timeout. What? 210? Is that possible these days?
Yeah.
Toronto.
It's not the lowest.
13th in pace.
Orlando, New York, 209.
Oh, wow. Detroit is 26th in pace. All right. I guess I can get it. And I guess Detroit doesn't have much beyond Mr. Drummond. And he's a beast and can definitely get it done. But we'll talk about him momentarily. As we scroll on power forward, we did mention Tatum having to possibly guard Giannis at 6,800. Danilo, Tobias Harris again. MPE gives you multiple opportunities here. How about someone like Kelly Oubre Jr.? He's eligible at small forward and power forward. Hasn't put up gigantic outings, but has been playing a decent amount of minutes. Again, a game where the Golden State defense has been pretty mediocre, if not, if you take Draymond Green for his word, they suck right now. Any interest in Oubre, who's been pretty enigmatic in his NBA career thus far?
Yeah, 6,200 looks okay. This is not your normal Warriors. There's no Andre Iguodala or Kevin Durant on the wing. It's, well, I don't even really know their wings. Nobody important. Oubre, 37 fantasy points per game so far this season, 6,200. Yeah, I see no reason why he can't be in the mid-30s or higher, especially if the shot's falling. 3 stocks in the most recent game, 4 in the game before that. He's averaging 25 or 21.6. I'm very intrigued by Kelly Oubre at that price. I think that's a really nice value given some of the other things around him, like Gordon Hayward. I mean, Montrezl Harrell for 6,500, but that's kind of a tough sell for me against Utah. It's not like you want Horford, Aaron Gordon in the 209 total game. Yeah, I think Kelly Oubre stands out.
Can't believe that you don't know that Glenn Robinson III is the starting small forward for the Golden State Warriors.
He didn't start, and the Jordan Poole started in the most recent game.
That's right. Jordan Poole, and you have Damian Lee, I think, out there.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
And the guy that should be starting is the guy they couldn't keep.
Amazing.
And now he's just not playing in Cleveland. Shout out Alfonso McKinney. Nobody else is doing that.
There may be reasons for that, Josh. But
yeah, it's true.
We can talk about that at a later date. 6,900 for Oubre over on FanDuel. Scrolling through, how about Al Horford's role thus far in Philadelphia, playing 30-plus minutes? We know, again, from a usage perspective, it's not a guy that's going to be the focal point of that offense. But He does the little things, rebounds, assists, picks up some blocks, obviously playing really good defense, picks up some steals. Is it just simply there's just not enough volume for him and on the offensive side? You can't trust him?
Yeah, I think that I'm only going to like Horford on the games that Embiid is out.
Yep, that makes total sense. And he's going to be gigantically popular on those sites.
Yeah,
so.
You went for 45 in the game that Embiid was out. Was there any did Drummond say anything about Embiid not playing?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. I realized I didn't either.
Yeah, I think that may be something in the past until an elbow flies at somebody, and then we'll hear more about the tete-on-tete that is that relationship.
Absolutely.
Scrolling through, not seeing much in the way of value. You get down to the likes of Jared Allen's 5,600. You have the entire Phoenix front court situation. I don't know if you like any of them here with Ayton still on the shelf last time I saw, at least.
Yeah. Not really, by the way. I don't.
Okay. But any interest in Bobby Portis in this Orlando game coming off his gigantic 52.25 DraftKings outing?
I mean, if he's going to be playing 30 minutes, absolutely. That is not what I was fully expecting going into Chicago.
David Fizdale.
Yeah, ownership will tell the story. If Bobby Portis is projected for 5% ownership and you think that he can play 30 minutes again, then absolutely jam him in. If you think that he could just as well play 12 because Taj Gibson is somehow going to play 24, then there's that. You have to take that into consideration. So on the surface, I think that he can very much do well at a $5,500 price tag, but there's so much playing time in flux for that Knicks team that it's really hard to trust, especially on an 11 gamer. It's not like, okay, there's only 3 games tonight. This is I got to take a stand somewhere.
They have so many similar players, not similar, but like guys who fill the same role. You even throw Kevin Knox into that mix. You have Randall, you have Portis, you have Taj Gibson. Like these are all guys playing the 3/4/5 that Fizdale has the opportunity to play a Knox 17 minutes when maybe he deserves 24, and Portis 32 when he should be playing 25. And so projecting that lineup is going to be like projecting how many pitches a Dodgers starter is going to throw. It's going to be difficult and annoying. And the night you get it right, fantastic. But the nights you get it wrong, it's going to be infuriating and probably very, very frustrating. Let's take a quick run through Yahoo here.
Sure.
Just to give our sponsor a direct and focused due. As we look at most expensive players, it's Giannis and Harden, both at 5,400. So you may mention on DK that Harden checks in, was at 4th most expensive overall, and second most expensive overall on DK. Where did it was Westbrook that was cheaper. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Then you have those two at the same price point. Karl-Anthony Towns at 53, Drummond 49, Westbrook 49, Kawhi 47, Embiid 46, Irving 45. So any of those at first glance, taking a first look at Yahoo's pricing and matchups here, Irving on up through Giannis stand out as a potential building block price point that you like and where you'd want to start your lineup construction on Yahoo.
Yeah, I'll start it with Curry at 44, immediately below Irving. No, I mean, this pricing seems more the way that it should be than we've seen elsewhere. Like, I think that the progressions coming through it make the most sense. If I had to pick somebody, like, all jokes aside, if I'm picking someone from that range, it's probably Embiid at 46. If he's playing, should he be $3 cheaper than Andre Drummond and $6 cheaper $7 cheaper than Karl-Anthony Towns? I would want Embiid in this spot. I'm not worried about Towns' defense.
Yep. I don't think anyone is, to be honest, but I think that makes a ton of sense within that range. We'll scroll through. Don't forget, we have full projections for Yahoo. We have all of the things you could want for Yahoo DFS. Is EMAC doing Yahoo NBA as well on a regular basis, or is he just doing Yahoo NFL content?
I believe that there's a Yahoo portion of his cash considerations article each day.
So you can check that out from EMAC. That is free. That is in front of the paywall. So you can also follow EMAC at EMAC DFS. Ask him his favorite movies from the 1980s and whatever else you might want to know from our old pal He'll gladly share. So be sure to ask him those questions. Love you, Emac. I know you're listening. Let's go to center next. On DK, we'll flash to FanDuel. We'll talk a little bit at Yahoo as well. You mentioned Embiid. You have Towns, $100 less, $10,000 and $9,900 respectively. Andre Drummond is $9,400. Assume, what is this, a Gasol defense most likely? I know Gasol hasn't been playing a ton of minutes.
Yeah.
But
you would think so.
Gasol a decent amount here against Andre Drummond. Siakam is $8,400. Love, Randall, Rudy Gobert at $8K. Vucevic is at $8K flat. He gets the Knicks. Vooch hasn't really had a really dynamic start to the year. I know they talked a lot about getting him involved and wanting him to be a focal point, but hasn't played a ton of minutes, 34, 31, and 25. Small sample, obviously. But last time out was just a pretty dreadful outing. 1 for 13 from the field against those same Toronto Raptors. 1 for 3 from three-point range and 12 rebounds. So you do like to see he's in double-digit rebounds every time out. But on the expensive side, considering Embiid, Towns, Drummond at their price points, Gobert and Vucevic, sort of taking the the MPE guys out. Anybody a favorite play on DK here?
I think it might be Embiid. I know that he's 10K. I think that I would want Embiid over Towns. They're essentially the same price. They've got the same, they're against each other. I have a hard time wanting to get Towns over Embiid in this spot. I like the price discount for Drummond, but at Toronto is just a really not great spot for them. Really low implied total. So I have a hard time seeing that one play out. I'd like to like Vooch more. You really need to see that shot fall. I don't like that he's 2 for 12 from 3. That was a big time help for him last year and kind of a breakout year. Got him paid a little bit too. 8K looks good against the Knicks though. I mean, who's going to stop him?
Bobby Portis's crazy eyes?
No.
All right, fair. Mid-tier, Hassan Whiteside is at 6,700. This is a guy that we've seen in the past put up triple-doubles in 18 minutes. He hasn't been playing a ton of minutes for Portland, right in that mid-range of 20 points. But and I ask this just because, if Steven Adams is out, if that knee contusion is something more and has to sit out Wednesday night, and Nerlens Noel is the lone real roadblock to Whiteside.
Oh, come on. You're not a Mike Muscala fan?
I am actually a Mike Muscala fan. I just don't know what his skill set is really here against Whiteside. But is there enough minutes here for Whiteside between 24 and 26 to put up one of those gigantic outings, or are those times past, in your opinion, for what's his Young Kid Fresh or whatever his Twitter handle is?
I have no idea.
I have to check. I'll do important research here and find out what Hassan Whiteside's Twitter handle is. But
sure.
6,700. Any interest at that price point?
If Adams is out, yes. If Adams is in, no. I can only imagine that Adams makes Hassan Whiteside's life miserable in a normal game. Like, Adams is just such a grindy dick that, like, Whiteside's going to foul him out of, like, anger twice and just be on the bench. But if Adams isn't there, I mean, Whiteside will probably see that as a time to shine. So that decision would fully be made based on the health of Steven Adams.
By the way, it's just at Young Whiteside. I don't know where I got the other particulars of the name I was making up, but young I got right.
Young, fresh Whiteside.
Yes. That could go a different way. But let's talk about mid-tier and lower tier. Center has some potential options on the cheaper end of the spectrum. You have somebody like a Brook Lopez against Boston. He's been playing high 20s, low 30s minutes. Been putting up decent amount of shots, 9 field goals attempted in each. Rebounds, never really been his real forte. I really wish he and his brother just sort of combined forces. They went Captain Planet on us and made one NBA center, but I don't know if they can do what like the Muppets did, dress up in one jersey, stand on top of each other's shoulders.
I was going to say, put a trench coat on.
Yeah, exactly.
The low pie.
Any interest in this mid or lower tier when it comes to center? Anybody, again, throwing on the fire, thinking that further research on Friday. Wow, I'm trying to fast forward this week. On Wednesday, can be a potential play at center.
I mean, if Rashawn Holmes is going to play 30 minutes again, then it's Rashawn Holmes. Didn't see that one coming at all, but 10 of 14 from the field and 13 boards. Still picked up 5 fouls. Look, if his minutes are suddenly going to be up, then Rashawn Holmes needs to be looked at because Charlotte stinks. After that, I mean, if everybody's ready to go down the Marquise Chris I don't know, Quagmire. He played 9 minutes as the Uber Chalk. Oh, God. Don't do that again, I guess. So today will be the day that he goes crazy. But, I mean, like you mentioned, if Steven Adams is out, Nerlens Noel's 3,300, and he's going to be one of the chalkiest plays of the day.
Right. And so a reminder on that, Osmo has ownership projections. A lot of sites do. We and I know Alex and team, Josh, the whole crew pride themselves on trying to be as accurate as possible. They're not going to be 100%. I think everyone should acknowledge that up front, but they are a idea. They are a projection, and they get you in the right mindset to understand where the field is going. And it matters so much when you're playing GPPs and cash games, obviously, if you're trying to match certain players and trying to understand your head-to-heads or your 50-50s, where ownership might go. Check those out behind the paywall. That's Osmo.com. I will also point out, on any given day, certain premium content is marked for free. So there are times where some of that premium projection or maybe the deep dive by Lofty or Adam, depending on time of year, or some of the ownership projections are free. So you'll want to check back to Osmo.com each and every day to see what's up for you. That is typically behind the paywall. And I will again say, paywall is there. We have tons of free content, but those projections, ownership projections, so much more. Early birds, your promo code, 50% off your first month. We'd love to have you on the other side. Bring into Slack chat, be part of those discussions. Alex does do a paywalled show on big slates. I think that is well worth everyone's time. He's the number one player in DFS for a long time running. Remember how quickly that turned over?
He's been like 2 years.
Yeah, he's been up there for a while. He has done a very good job, and I will say he has just improved in his teaching over time too, being able to articulate why he does certain things and how you might, on a smaller scale or different circumstances, be able to do similar tasks and analysis of what's going on. So you'll want to check that out. Josh, any final well, let's have my fun game that I like to do with all of the co-hosts. DK pricing, we're going to go 9K and above. Lillard, Drummond, Curry, Westbrook, Towns, Embiid, Harden, Antetokounmpo. Who's your favorite play on this slate?
James Harden.
Okay.
Has to be.
I think
Wizards stink.
That's hashtag analysis.
What up, Adam? Now he's not listening.
No, there aren't many people still listening at this point. That is one. But two, Adam, definitely not one of them. So Adam, you owe me lots and lots of money. I'm going to come. No, it's not true at all. But if whoever's listening, just at Ship My Money DFS, tell him that he owes me lots of money. He forgot about it and he needs to pay me. Just tweet at him. And let's see what happens. A little social experiment here. You can find Josh on Twitter at Josh Goldman, me at Dan Stratford. I'm happy Osmo has so many guys who are as creative on their Twitter handle as I am. Between you, Rendon, myself, it works out really well.
Spags.
Yeah, we're just all very direct with who we are. Find myself at Dan Stratford. It is Osmo_com for the parent Twitter account, but you also want to follow Osmo NBA. You also want to follow Osmo NFL. Free giveaways. I want to point this out. Our NFL and our social team, and there is a team, does a great job with the giveaways. And they're giving away subscriptions pretty regularly for simply replying to tweets and retweeting things. If you want a free look, you have an opportunity to win doing one of those. And that is just simply interacting on social media. So you'll want to check that out. Go follow those Twitter accounts. Josh, any final thoughts or anything in the content world you want to share with the listeners before we go?
No, we're churning out a ton of it. The amount of stuff that we're putting out for the NBA on a daily basis is really, really staggering. I ran through it on Live Before Lock, but it's like 15 unique pieces of content in a given day if you're counting like projections and rankings and ownership and stuff.
And the other thing I will say is check out the graphics. Jake has done an amazing job updating and still working on some branding and some bringing to life of ideas. But Josh and not Jake Carey, but Jake D, is that his last name?
D is going to work best for you in this one.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't technically know how to say it.
Oh, okay, fair.
DeRozier? DeRozier?
DeRozier. Probably DeRozier. We'll find out. I'll ask him. But doing great work, and I want to shout him out because, one, he's been awesome to work with, really open to critiques and criticism, but also really open to just getting shit done and getting things out. So kudos to him. Has been a welcome addition to the team, and honestly love the the way he's taken the graphics and especially stuff on like what we're doing here on YouTube and the different articles that are out there and live shows.
It looks good.
So
it looks
congrats
really
to
good.
him. Congrats to everyone who's doing great work at Osmo, to all the content that's going out. NFL still going strong. Want to check out that content. And of course, the NBA, NHL, the guys, Jake, Harry, and team, Vots, and all those guys over there.
Slim Cliffy.
Mike Clifford is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And he's damn good at NHL. So that works out pretty well for him. And am I missing any sport? Golf. It just happens all year. So you can show.
They're off next week too.
Oh, is that the 1 week of the year? Like it's the
is.
one. I know then it's all in Asia and then they come back sometime in February or something like that. But,
yeah, they're gone for a week.
Good for them. And college football. I'll shout out Ben and the fact that Rutgers won last week. So there you have it. That's going to do it. If you're still listening and watching, good for you. Time to move on. But check out the NBA Strategy Show Thursday morning, bright and early, around 9:15 over on your YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that alarm bell so you get alerts each and every time. You've been listening to the DFS Early Bird presented by Osmo.com.